Welcome to Facing South Florida. I'm Jim DeFede, and with schools opening next week in both Miami-Dade and Broward counties, I wanted to speak to the leaders of the unions representing teachers and staff in both districts. Karla Hernandez-Mats is the president of the United Teachers of Dade, and Anna Fusco is the president of the Broward Teachers Union.
I know that our teachers are, just amazing, and they've spent a lot of their summer not only doing professional development, but just planning ahead what their themes are going to be, how they want their decorations to look like in their classroom to make welcoming environments for their students. But they are a little anxious. I mean, everybody's talking about it. There's a national teacher shortage. They're wondering how this is going to impact their classes. Are they going to be overloaded with students and not have adequate space to have small class sizes where they can teach in a more impactful way? And we have to address the fact that there's a lot of culture wars, and these culture wars are really hitting the morale of educators, because even though we know that the vast majority of parents love their public schools and their teachers, and we're really proud of all the efforts that everyone has put in. We are a top district in the state of Florida. We've done so much to make sure we're servicing our students, making sure that they're learning, and that the pandemic is not impacting their academic gains in a very negative manner. Unfortunately, our classrooms are being politicized. It is something that is hurting the morale, because teachers didn't go into this profession to be politicized. We're truth tellers. We don't believe in banning books. We don't believe in teaching without authenticity. We want to teach authentically. We want to teach facts. And we also want to make sure that every child feels like they are in a safe learning space and that they're welcome. And we see all these different culture wars from Governor DeSantis and, really extreme legislators in Tallahassee that are impacting our school system.
Karla, you just talked about a teacher shortage in Miami-Dade. Anna, let me bring you in on that point. Let's just talk about teacher shortages for a second. Then we'll talk about the reasons you believe that they are there.
Well, every year for this past decade, we've been losing teachers rapidly, of keeping them retained. And this past school year is no different. We lost about 1,000 teachers from the end of last school year throughout the summer and starting this school year. We were able to recover some. We've had 2 job fairs. So we have about maybe 250 openings still, give or take, of what the last check. And we just had to really push also of some of our teachers that have become assistant principals. We had some of our admin changes, principals retired or moved around and so forth. So that left some more openings. I haven't gotten that final count. So we might have another 40 or 60 openings if the, admin didn't correlate that these.
So let me ask you this. Anna. Let me just ask it this way. So if you're down about 300 from last year, were you fully staffed last year, or were you working under a bit of a?
We have not been fully staffed in years. We're always basically, pulling away from Peter to pay Paul.
That's what I want to get to. Give me an idea. What does it mean? I mean, it's hard for me to comprehend, but if you're down 300 teachers from last year and you were short even last year, what does that translate into the classroom? What does that mean? Does it mean more students per class?
It means a few things. It means that there are more students per class. So it's 18 students kindergarten through 2nd grade, 22 students 3rd through 5th grade, 25 students in the middle and high school with core classes. And that doesn't count with some of our band, physical education, and extracurricular classrooms could have up to 60 kids. So if you're down a teacher in each grade level, you have to split those kids up. That could rise your class size. We had some kindergarten classes last year, 25, 26 students. We had some 5th grade classes that should only be 22. They were 28, 30 students. So that happens. Or we have to rely on our substitute pool. We've got certified credentialed substitutes, but it's what they are. They don't want to be full-time teachers. They're substitutes. They might not have the full credentialing to become a certified teacher, but they're still there.
This is a self-inflicted wound. Okay. There is a national teacher shortage. It is over 500,000 teachers. It is estimated around the nation that are just vacancy positions. Here in the state of Florida, we have over 9,500. And if you compare that number to 2020, That's a 3,000% increase. So something is happening. Because obviously these are not the numbers that we're used to seeing. And so in Miami-Dade, our numbers are, for new teacher orientation, we had over 550 brand new teachers that were in new teacher orientation. And we still have about 300 vacancies left. School's about to start. That means that's 300 classrooms that don't have a permanent teacher that maybe is certified at that for that subject. And so it creates a lot of strain on everybody else. It could mean that it's a higher class size for teachers. It could mean, and most likely this is what will happen, you'll have administrators that are going to be deployed from district offices that are going to be in classrooms teaching, and they're certified teachers. So obviously they can do it and they'll do a good job. But it just means that there's a lot of strain at the beginning of our school year. I say that it is self-made because this is from years of neglect. We have too many lawmakers, and specifically here in Florida, where for far too long they've neglected public schools. They make laws or policies. For example, a couple of weeks ago, it came out that they're going to allow veterans with 4 years of military service to come in and teach. And I respect veterans and I thank them. And I don't think that our system is doing enough to support them and value them and help them, be productive in our communities when they need that support. So we do need to do something about that. However, I am the sister of a former Marine. I've seen what it takes to be, go through boot camp, get the training. And I can tell you that my brother would not be able to teach, just like I wouldn't be able to be on the front lines, being in combat. And so they're two very different things. For us to be in this situation where we see that the government is not actually trying to do something about it by giving us the resources that we need. And that's what teachers are saying. They're saying, give us the resources. Make sure that we have small class sizes. Make sure that we have the liberty to teach with authenticity. Make sure that we have resources to, put money in the bank and live in the communities that we teach in. We have a housing crisis. And, we're 48th in the nation in terms of what we invest in public education. 48th in the nation with teacher pay. And so, honestly, these extremist lawmakers that are making, these policies should be ashamed because
Karla,
they are the ones that are creating mass exodus.
Let me jump in and I want to go back through a couple of things. With regard to the veterans, I'm assuming they don't just show up at a classroom and say, I was a veteran, I served for 4 years in the military, which classroom is mine? Is that what, if any, training do they undergo before they are put into a classroom?
It is 60 credits. It doesn't matter what the 60 credits are in it. They don't even have to have an associate's degree. It's just 60 credits. And, honestly, they get a 5-year waiver, which means that they have 5 years to, be specialized and get the certificate in teaching whatever that core class is.
Compare that to a teacher. You talked about the 550 new teachers who went through orientation. What did they go through before they were able to walk into that classroom? Compare that to the 60 credits in anything that the veterans are going through. And again, I agree with you. I'm not suggesting anything untoward towards the veterans. I'm just trying to think of what's in the best interest of the children in the classrooms.
Well, an average teacher not only has a 4-year degree and a bachelor's under their belt, but they've also, if they've gone through the College of Education, they've done their practicum, they've done an internship, they've had real world hands-on experience for, at least a full 6 months before they actually are interacting independently with students. We know that during NTO, and I'm sure that Broward does this something similarly, is they're getting, in-depth professional development. They're getting best practices. They're getting, just tools on, what are some good techniques to implement in your classroom. They're networking with different colleagues. They're getting just a really robust immersion into what to expect as a brand new teacher, what we know, how we can grow and learn from each other. And so, that's something that's really critical because children are not widgets.
Man, I find it interesting that Governor Ron DeSantis was out there screaming that we got to get our kids back in school, get them off virtual, and fighting us about the mask mandate and keeping kids safe from the pandemic. But he doesn't do anything else that shows that he really cares and values what it is to really have our kids in school. You know, so you want them in a building, but you don't want to fund everything else that comes with it. You know, we know that being in a brick and mortar is very important. You know, we had to do this virtual piece because of going through the pandemic, and it was real. We can't help that somebody chose to not believe it was real. And it was really important that we kept our children safe and then their extended family safe. That was really important. And they still got
Let me just ask this question, because I don't want us to lose sight of it. Anna, do you know right offhand how many teachers, staff died during the pandemic?
In Broward County Public Schools, there was, I couldn't tell you how many, I mean, but there was quite a bit between, you know, just our educators and our custodials and our bus driver. There was well over 100. And I could tell you right now.
Well over 100. Well over 100.
God, yes. I mean, I learned about somebody dying. I wrote more condolence cards through the pandemic than I have done in my life.
I just wanted us to make that point. And Karla, do you know the number in Miami-Dade roughly, or do you have a sense of how many? Because I don't want us to forget, as we put some distance between it, that this was a very real situation.
I actually don't have a number, but I can tell you that at the beginning of the school year, when we were starting, we're realizing that people were not reporting to school, is when we started to get some information, but we wouldn't have access to that number. The district would. But I mean, in the first week when we were coming back, there were at least four people that had passed away that we were directly contacted and learned about. And so, you know, that number has to keep on growing.
The economic pressure on teachers, you know, just the cost of living. We all know how expensive it is to live in South Florida. Is that one of the factors that's forcing teachers to leave the district and move to other types of jobs?
I think it's a big issue. I'll give you an example right now. I have one of our teachers right now that had an unfortunate situation in her living conditions, and she's homeless right now, actually. And, you know, we're trying to get her some new housing. And I had contacted one of our brothers and sisters in the Police Benevolent Association that could help us out with affordable housing. And this is what they considered of affordable housing: a one-bedroom apartment for $1,700.
Wait, I just want to pause you for a second. Mm-hmm. You have a teacher who is starting the school year homeless.
Yes. 100% homeless, was living in her car, contacted us. And if anybody who knows me, trust me, she is in housing right now. Broward Teachers Union helped take care of her, and she's on the road to getting permanent housing. The point that I was trying to make is that it was an impactful situation of what caused her to be homeless. And I'm sure there's others that might not just have the courage to reach out. But this person did. And I'm just giving you, to me, I don't think $1,700 for a one-bedroom apartment is affordable housing when you're on a $50,000 salary. It's impossible to make that kind of rent, along with everything else, including the skyrocketing of gas prices. And we're seeing what's happening with food and so forth, because it is astronomical. And I tell you right now, the number one conversation I have with all of our educators and our support staff is the struggle to make ends meet. Most people work second jobs. Sometimes some of them work 3 jobs. They're sharing their homes with other people. They're bringing in strangers to be roommates to help offset the cost, because they're struggling so bad. And that's the piece I'm taking. We've got our governor who's out there bragging that he's done something so wonderful, because, you know, he stuck up and said, look, I got your kids back in school, which, by the way, he didn't. But he didn't, and he's not taking care of what it is to really take care of our public schools for those students and for every employee that works in those school system, to be able to afford to be part of a productive society, to be in the schools, to be with clear social emotional well-being. It's all a trickle effect. It's all a domino effect. If you take care of the people that are going to take care of the children, you're going to blossom.
When we come back, they argue the governor and his supporters have spent the last year vilifying teachers by calling them groomers who want to indoctrinate our children. the impact it's having on teachers, when we come back.